Welcome to another edition of the No Job Podcast. I'm Najee Simmons, of course, your host. Here at the No Job Podcast, we believe, of course, that everybody has to earn a living, but nobody has to have a job. Nobody has to live their life under a boss's thumb in order to make a living if they're willing to do the work to not have to. And we're people who get excited about the idea of work, doing something we care about, something that's important to us, using our energy and our time in alignment with that to make money for ourselves and our families. And we have another no job believer here with us tonight. His name is Lance Bertrand. Some know him as CEO and founder of Turnkey Construction and Design. I know him as the college homie. He's going to drop a lot of nuggets today. I can tell you that. Welcome, Lance. How's it going, brother?
I'm good, Najee. Thank you for having me.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm happy to have you because I've been following the journey on IG, seeing your triumphs, seeing the tragedy, seeing you work through them, seeing you come out on top. And I know that based on your experience, even in the last few years, forget about in the beginning, there's a lot there that we can mine and that people on this podcast or people who listen to it can use. Because let me just tell you, people that listen to this show are either looking for information from someone like you who's living the life they're hoping to live, or inspiration in order to get the courage and keep their motivation if they're already on the path. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. It's funny you mentioned that. Like one of the biggest things of like why I share my like stories, and you know me on social media, and I don't only show the good. I try to show the bad too because it's not all glamour. But I think my ultimate goal is really just to be that inspiration as a person who's come a long way and still feel like I got a long way to go. But just provide that inspiration, that motivation, and I've been doing this for quite some time now, so I'm sure I have some information that I share, but it's always, always a lot more to learn.
Yeah. And yeah, what I appreciate is seeing you hold yourself out there as someone who dares to go out and try to make money doing what they want to do the way that they want to do it and trusting in themselves enough to actually put some skin in the game. Because I remember back in college, I remember you used to go home a lot to work at IKEA.
Yo, for real? How do you
Yeah,
remember that?
I remember
You know?
people and things. But I just wanted to ask, why were you doing that? Were you doing that because you knew you eventually wanted to, parlay into design and construction and you got some experience there, or was it just the job you had at the time?
Yeah, I mean, job I had at the time too. I had no one to rely on, so it's like, and I say that to say like I have parents, but like they holding down what they gotta hold down. So like, once I got to school, I've just kind of been on my own trying to figure it out on my own path. So yeah, the primary reason why I was going back is because even like the hourly salary I was making at that time, I didn't feel that I would be able to get it like locally or on campus. So like,
Yeah.
I went away to school and I was going home every weekend. So I was not even experiencing what I came out there for.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of back home, let me ask, are the parents business owners, any business owners in the family, or are you like the black sheep that decided to strike out and do this?
I consider myself a black sheep in a lot of ways for
Uh-huh.
various reasons, but yeah, no, definitely not. Obviously everyone's life is different, but my mom works in healthcare. She's like a director of nursing.
Yeah.
And my dad is a probation officer. So he works for the city. So yeah,
Okay.
I would say I'm the first one. So and just out here trying to get it.
Yeah. So they're both working for large systems. When you decided to found Turnkey, and we'll get into the whole story later. I'm just curious, how did they feel about it? Because they've got those classic, secure and stable jobs, working for big systems, reliable income. What did they think about you doing things your way?
I don't know if I think they didn't take it seriously to an extent.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I don't think in a disrespectful or malicious way, but there was just like, yeah, like, yeah, cool, yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I don't think they just took it seriously. My mom is kind of a little bit more of a like about that, like, hey, do what you want to do,
Hmm.
but And I think just my track record of how I've operated in the past, like just making something out of nothing, made it like at least listen a little bit. But yeah, I think they were just like, yeah, nice, good job. Yeah, go have fun.
Right, right. And at what point was it that you decided to start things? Was it right after college? Did it take a while?
So that's a great question. So I started things right after college, but I didn't get things going immediately after. But yeah, I started right after college, after like reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, which was a really good book that kind of planted the seed for me.
Hmm.
And then, getting a 4-year degree and having a hard time finding employment, it was kind of like, what other options do I really have? I have this
Yeah.
skill set, like maybe let's see how I can try to leverage that. And I was also under the premise that like I'm young now. This was always my philosophy. I'm young. I don't have any kids. Take the risk now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what you
Yep.
got to lose at this point?
Yeah. And let me ask now, the answer to the question might be obvious, but I want to ask it and get a straight answer because I want people to know. Because if they want to follow in your steps and enter into your industry, let me ask: did you find your college education to be helpful at all with regard to what you're doing now, or was your on-the-job training and the actual, manual skill set what benefits you more now?
That's a great question. It's an amazing question. I would say I don't think anything that I got from school really contributed to it, to be
Yeah.
honest.
No, I appreciate the honesty. I
Yeah.
I feel this. I think a lot of people feel the same way. I mean, you make great contacts in school, and I know
Thank
there's
you.
a lot of people from school that each of us still hang out with today. But if you could go back, knowing turnkey was what you were going to do, would you have gone to college, knowing again that you were going to go this independent route?
Probably not. Like I said, I never worked a corporate job. I've never like I don't have any of that experience. So it's really ironic, but yeah, I don't think so. Like I'm trying to think what I could have got besides, like I said, the homies in the community.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest benefit that I got. And then
Hmm.
getting out of my parents' house for 3 years.
Hmm.
But other than that,
I got you.
um literally, I don't think anything I got there. I mean, I studied accounting.
Hmm.
Can I say that helped me out for book? I guess I could grasp financials, maybe not as hard as maybe someone who's completely new to it, but
Hmm.
still, even then, you're overwhelmed with other stuff. So I would say no.
Yeah. So, okay, so story time. You said that after not being able to find suitable work after college, you really got going with turnkey. What was it like? Like, when was the first time you presented yourself to somebody who could be a paying customer or you wanted to be a client? Here I am. I'm Lance, founder, CEO. This is what I do. This is what I charge. What was that first sale like?
Ironically enough, so well, one, yeah, couldn't get a job. I was applying to like, when we're in that transitionary generation too, because we're 1990, where it's like
Hmm.
we have some of the old school beliefs, but then we're also in like a new time and place.
Yeah.
So like I genuinely thought I got a 4-year degree, I'm gonna get a job, and that
Yeah.
was not the case.
Yeah.
I feel like I was applying to what I would consider really mediocre entry level jobs and like not even getting a look. And I was like,
Yeah.
yo, I'm not good enough to do this. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but knowing that I felt like my time was worth more. So to answer your question, my first job ever, first time presenting my clients, I was still working at a company, and I was like, I was starting getting the idea that I was going to do this for myself. So,
Hmm.
I was like, trying to leverage my contacts or who I could meet at the establishment that I was at, which probably is not the best way to do things, I will say, for anyone
Yeah.
that way. But the first job I ever did was a referral through a friend. I was doing real estate at the time, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Lance knows that stuff." And I had never done a project on in the field side, and oh my god, it was a roller coaster ride. I'll say that.
Uh-huh. So did it not go well or?
You always get it done, but like once again, you don't know what you don't know. Like I got into this. Some people research what they do and then get it. didn't know have any of the hard manual skills that that most people have or understand prior to doing that. I
Yeah.
was kind of like a designer, so um, we got it done. It just wasn't as smoothly as I would have liked it, and just putting things together and like not hiring the right people, but we got it done. It was just like a nightmare, but it was a really crazy experience. It was scary and stressful, but you live and you learn.
Yeah. So, I mean, after that horrible experience, I'm not going to call it horrible. You got the job done. After that hard experience, what about that made you think, okay, I want to do this again? In fact, I want to keep doing this so much I make my living off of it.
So, but between my first job and then when I started doing consistent jobs was actually like a bit of a gap.
Okay.
Um, so between that, I got into like real estate sales. It kind of did shake me up a little bit, but that's not why there was such a large gap. I was just really naive as to like how hard it was to get clients, like
Uh-huh.
consistent flow of clients. I did not know like really what went into that. So that was the major cause for like the delay.
Yeah.
But I'm a persistent person. I'm not a quitter. I grew up in Brooklyn in the 90s and the 2000s, and I was
Yeah.
never the biggest kid. So I was used to being tested. So I
Yeah.
feel like, I've dealt with fear for my life in personal situations. So it's like,
Mhm.
this is not going to stop me.
Yeah. And let me ask, because what you just keyed in on is something that I think anybody who even wants to consider running a business needs to know. What was the answer to that question for you? How did you start to get consistent business? How did you begin to get a flow of clients? Because that's the lifeblood.
So the first, at least for me, my personal, I was pursuing a partnership with a major entity. It was actually the company that I used to work for. I used to work for IKEA pretty much, and that's where I started doing kitchen designs there.
Hmm.
And while I was doing real estate sales, I was like consistently pitching them about working with them to help them do their like installations to help because that helps them sell their product.
Right.
And I was told no for 3 years straight. Like
Okay.
no, 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 no. They would give me some papers like go back read this. And ironically enough, the once they first decided to meet with me, I had not done a job in 2 years, and I like made a website like before the meeting and presented that to them, and they was like, "Oh, you've been busy." I was like, "Yeah, I've been busy." Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean that contract, and it's actually a subsidiary of IKEA, not technically them, but that contract helped like I guess that was my initial big break for my business. Like, I had an endless flow of customers after that. And it was a volume-based business, but like I was working the next day and then like every single day,
Mhm.
full-time nonstop.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. So I guess what most people can grasp from that is you need a referral source, and it helps if you can form a partnership with someone that's very well known in the industry that you're in. So you work on the kitchens in particular for this IKEA subsidiary. You do the install for them.
I mean, as of now, that's my business model has changed, but that's how we
Okay.
started. That is
Okay.
definitely how we started. And yeah, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to everything, to be honest. No one is gonna give you anything for free. So I will say that's my particular journey. Um, do I think it's the only way? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously leveraging an established brand. I was walking into customers' homes, and there was nothing that I had to do because the brand that I came from was so established that they already knew that I was reliable and
Right.
trustworthy and competent because this company wouldn't even hire you. But yeah, we would only do the kitchen aspect of things because that's actual renovation and construction work. We're not an assembly. That's like hardcore carpentry and guys getting down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen your website, and I've also, of course, seen your IG. I know you guys do some beautiful spaces. when talk about the evolution of the business model from just doing those, subcontracts. How'd you expand? And when did you recognize a need to expand, or did it just sort of organically happen?
So yeah, definitely organically happened. I mean, like it's kind of like I don't want to say baby, but you have a foundation, and then I'm just also never want to do anything small. I'm always looking to that's like my self-motivated personality. Like I need to do bigger, I need to do better. That's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it came organically through like client needs, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So like
Yeah.
I would be asked to do different things, and I was like, okay, I need to do that. Like I remember like my first job that I did that was like quote unquote bigger. Like I made a big mistake. Like I forgot to like put an electric line in for a dishwasher,
Oh.
and like, but I once again I ended up getting it done. You got to solutions, but like I had to call some favors in, call the experts. Like how do I fix this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was initially doing the smaller installs, and then little by little I would start doing demolition projects. So that was like, okay, additional work. And then it was becoming like, all right, now you need the electrician and the plumber. So like it happened organically. And I would say we were still heavily doing that stuff with like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
With the pandemic, that's slowing down. It was just time for a change.
Right.
It was a volume-based business. It was really tiring, having to deal with so many different clients, so many different people. I'm grateful for the experience because the volume allowed me to make a lot of mistakes fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're dealing with 1,000 clients, like, that's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people, a lot of
Yeah.
different projects. So like they have that term fail fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like experience allowed me to do that. So I am grateful for that, as opposed to just have learning on like a big job off the rip,
Yeah. And speaking of having to manage personalities and deal with people, what are some things you've learned along the way, not only dealing with clients and their different personalities, but also dealing with employees and maybe subcontractors if you utilize them?
Yeah, I use a lot of subs. So I would say the big thing is empathy. Empathy, empathy, empathy. Like literally putting yourself in the other person's shoes and communicating from that perspective. Still speak your mind and what you feel and what you have to say. But once you connect to at least trying to understand their perspective, there's a deeper connection, and like the flow and how you communicate is completely different,
Mm-hmm.
and people grasp it better. Like
Yeah.
if anything is one of my biggest skills, it's my ability to like deal with people and the different personalities and communicate effectively, but still be stern, but still like hold boundaries and standards.
Yeah.
It's literally
Absolutely.
all I do.
Uh-huh. You mean the people stuff?
Yeah, that's my job. I just bring people together.
Yeah. 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 Because I guess the team is the one building, tearing stuff up and putting stuff together now, right?
Yeah, but even more than that, like, even as I've become full service, like I'm like more of a design build firm now. So like I have my own designers. I've had my own project managers. These are all people that like I bring into my project. Oh, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need that. And I'm the one bringing these people in. Those are like, some of them are subs. Some of the guys work for me at W2. It's a mixture
Yeah.
and a variety. But I literally view myself as like the person who, in a choreographer or in an opera who
Yeah.
like does
The conductor.
the
Yeah.
conductor. Exactly.
Yeah.
Literally, that's all my job is. I'm a conductor.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that's what it takes to be in your position. You have to be able to manage people, manage relationships. I'm sure there are times when people on your team are at odds with one another. You have to find ways to resolve that kind of conflict. So I'm sure it really rapidly forces you to grow in that area. But another thing I wanted to bring up to you, and that I think is important to you, tell me if I'm wrong. I know the reason a lot of people go into entrepreneurship in whatever field it may be is because they like the idea of being independent and not having to pretend to be somebody else. A lot of the corporate gigs, like the ones you were looking for, right after college. You got to dress a certain way. You got to, adopt this kind of demeanor. And I know you like to be you. I know that personally. Would you say that is a big part of why you enjoy living life as an entrepreneur?
Nadia, I must say, I'm impressed. I don't know how you know all of these things, because these are like deeper things that are actually embedded in my personality. So
Yeah.
I'm like taken back that you know this. I definitely think it contributes to it. Like I've taken personality tests. I'm big on individuality.
Uh-huh.
And not to say, I think I was like subconsciously conforming at the beginning too.
Okay.
Just like in the sense, like I'm still me, but maybe still playing a part in the sense that like I was like a young Black kid, and like most of my clients are like higher net worth, at least from what I'm used to, different demographics than what I've grown up from being around. And
Yeah.
I'm being politically correct right now.
Yeah.
And that's not normally me, but I would say like since I have been myself, like I'm getting more business now than when I was trying to like put on this preppy front. That's not me. Like I grew up in the city. I grew up in Brooklyn. Like that's
Yeah.
like no, that is not me. So be yourself. But yeah, I think that definitely contributes to it. Like, just wanting to do my own thing. I don't like to be asked questions, and I'm big on individuality. Yeah, I just think really be yourself. And part of that stems from, because I know I'm going on a rant, is that
It's all good. We dig rants.
okay, thank you. So, but it really stems from like changing the status quo and changing norms and changing beliefs, because it's like I say this all the time. I walk into like I'm doing a project on the Upper West Side. They assume that I'm nothing more than the delivery person or the mail person. So like oftentimes they're shocked. Like, oh yeah, service, who you here to see? What are you here for? I'm like, like, did the client say, can I go upstairs? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are you asking what are we here for? But yeah, I just think that we just need to change the status quo. We need to change what does an entrepreneur look like? What does a business owner look like? Why can't they, like your appearance should be irrelevant. Are you good at what you do? Are you professional? Are you providing a great service? So
Yeah.
that's part of my personal why and the change. I want to change that narrative of what the stereotypical person looks like in a situation, on top of just being Black in this space, on top of that.
Yeah. And I remember not too long ago you had your hair dyed blonde. That's when I'm like, oh, he really don't care. He's out here. Yeah, and even the freedom to do that's not something you can do if you worked at JP Morgan and Chase, or if you worked at Goldman Sachs. It's just not allowed.
Well, so back to the point. That's why I said that, like, that's why I felt like I was somewhat subconsciously conforming before, because I wanted to dye my hair, and it's still in there. It's just I be cutting out, so I'm still blonde gang. I'm about to go re-bleach it probably like this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to do that from a year before, but once again, I was like, oh, I may not be viewed as professional and things like that, and it's bull crap. All of that is self-inflicted, things we put on ourselves. After I dyed it, I'm in a like networking group. I got like referrals the next week. I was like, I think people are like are taken back. It's like a breath of fresh air when you are yourself and you're not trying to like. I think it also makes you like stick outside the box. Like, oh, this person is really something's really different about this person, and I wasn't viewing it that way. But no, I don't care. I provide a good service. We do great work, and we provide a great experience, and that's all I really want to do, and that's what I should be assessed and based off of.
Yeah, dope. And listen, we've talked about some of the benefits of living as an entrepreneur, but at the end of the day, you are betting on yourself. No guaranteed paycheck bi-weekly like most people are getting. Does that affect you in terms of the pressure of coming up with the money you need to pay rent and whatever else you need to do to keep the business afloat? How does that feel?
So it's funny. So like there's literally levels and stages to like everything in life. So like I used to joke around and say like I was in the junior varsity level of my like entrepreneurship career. And I'm like, and I'm a tough critic on myself. So some people may give it higher, but Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
So it is at the beginning it was super stressful. Like if you've never like stared at the ceiling wondering how you're gonna pay your employees the next day, I don't like you've never like that was consistent. Like where do you find who owes me money? Like it's Thursday, payroll is due tomorrow. Who owes me money?
Yeah.
Let me call this kind of like those times were really tough, like
Yeah.
super tough and super stressful. But I think that like as you get more knowledgeable, you get better at what you do, and you know you're in a different space. So I'm not as much in that space now as far as like worrying about paying my people, you know, because we've are in that transitionary point where like there is consistent business coming in.
Yeah.
But yeah, the goal for me is to not get too happy, keep my foot on the gas. It's like,
Mhm.
cool, you know, you sold a couple, you booked out 6 months, but can you book yourself out for a year? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously. And one thing that keeps coming back up in this conversation is just consistency on your part and getting consistent business. I know meeting people has a lot to do with it. You said that through the networking group that you joined, you begun to get referrals pretty quickly. What inspired you to join a networking group? Is that something that somebody else who was doing well in business told you to do, or it just seemed to make sense?
So me, once again, I think I mean I've been okay because of like my humility. Like I know I don't have the answers. So like every day I'm literally looking for who has the answers to what I'm looking for.
Mm.
You know, someone knows, someone's been doing this longer than me, so I'm always naturally finding different communities to be a part of, to attach myself to. Um, for people who are like either doing what I want to do or doing better than what I want to do. So I got to BNI, which is the networking group is called BNI, which is Business Network International. We're chapter 52 in the city. So if anyone ever wants to guest out on my meeting, you're more than welcome to come. But yeah, I was referred, I heard about BNI when I was doing real estate. And then back to communities, I was in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which surrounded me with like other business owners. So that was like a really great environment for me to be around, especially being one of the second youngest entrepreneur in the room, but the youngest business in the room.
Mhm.
So one person that I met there invited me as a guest to his BNI because I heard about it, but then I actually attended. And I was like, all right, you know, it's cool. And then another one invited me to theirs, and I was like, okay, it's cool. So then shortly after that, a couple months later, I just decided that like it would be a good opportunity, something for me to try and commit to for my business. And I wouldn't say I got referrals fast from it. I've been in the chapter now just over a year,
Mhm.
but it's all about building relationships. The name of the game is relationships, and that down to like clients, down to business colleagues, down to my subcontractors, down to my employees. It's all your relationships.
Yeah, man. One thing I hope people get out of listening to you is the fact that what might appear like a failure can end up being the gateway to something great. And people wouldn't be so afraid of failure if they recognize the possibility that it might be a gateway. I mean, for most people, graduating from college, getting your degree, and not being able to find a job that makes sense, it's like failure. A lot of people tap out at that point. They just they just give up. But you made the next obvious step. You found a way, and it wasn't an obvious way. It wasn't like
It
the
was not
people.
obvious. I was just
Yeah,
like, yeah, like, what can I just don't like sitting at home bored. I'm like,
yeah,
what can I do?
yeah. And you had to work to get the people at IKEA to take you seriously to allow you to get those contracts. It's not like they were begging you, but it turned out to be something great that's working out dope for you and allows you to be yourself. So I would just ask you in closing, could you say something to people who are maybe feeling like they want to give something a shot, but not having the courage to do it? What would you tell those people has been the best part of you going after the opportunity that you saw?
So there's two things I'd like to say. First things first, there's no failures, there's no losses. I always say that there's only lessons. Literally, if so what you view as a failure, it's really not a failure. It's just that, okay, what can I take from this? It's a lesson to be better for the next time. That's really how I view things. And I'm a big like Napoleon Hill person,
Hmm.
things like him, that he's a like I live my life over a lot of his values. And I just believe that they say your success is equal to the amount of like failure you're willing to endure. You know what I mean? So it's like literally, if you're super successful, that means you failed a million times because you had to go through all those situations to know what is the right thing to do. And
Right.
and to your point, I mean, I didn't know anything about the industry that I was doing. I never had the formal skills. I literally was just like, yo, this is what I want to do. And, I dive right in. And, they say entrepreneurs like jump off of a plane and, build a new one on the way down or something like that. But
Yeah.
literally, that's really what I've done. I literally jumped in and I've been figuring it out along the way. And, the IKEA was just a stepping stone. That was like a platform. We don't even like handle that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
But it was a segue into something bigger. And now I'm experiencing that bigger. And this something bigger is going to be something to take me to the next bigger step that I'm looking to go and achieve.
Yeah. Can I ask you, what do you have in your crosshairs? What's the next level if you thought about that?
The next level for me is really like getting into like development. You know what I mean? Like right now, I mean, you make great money doing what I do now, like being client serving. But I would like to do just things that on a more like grander scale. So like city like development projects, like whether it's like affordable housing developments or even just in general. I'm interested in like large land scale property developments. And not only in the US, I have goals to do this stuff like overseas. I'm from, my dad is from Haiti, so I would love to, like, a big goal of mine is to, bring some of this and bring it over there.
Yeah, some development in Haiti. That'd be dope. And as anyone can see on your IG, you love to travel and you do it often. So I have no doubt that you're going to be able to do the things that you set your sights on doing. Before we go, just please tell people where they can find Turnkey's work and website, and where they can find you. Where can they follow you?
Thank you, Najee. I appreciate the opportunity. So yeah, you can find me personally on Instagram at Lance__Bertrand, and my business is called Turnkey Design and Construction Inc. You can Google us. We have a lot of good reviews, a lot of 5-star reviews, more than most contractors probably in the city. Just an FYI. Our website is turnkeybk.com. On Instagram, we're turnkey_DC. We got a Facebook page. We got a LinkedIn page. But Google Lance Bertrand Turnkey or Turnkey Design and Construction and we'll come up. And we do great work. We just want to provide good client experiences. And we only get better, literally.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, Lance Bertrand, follow him. Don't forget his name. Truly inspirational person, great man to know about and to listen to. No Job Podcast. This one's in the books. Thanks for joining us, Lance. See you next time. Coming fresh off the Lance Bertrand interview, CEO and founder of Turnkey Construction and Design. My two main takeaways from this interview are: number one, you can make it being yourself. You might actually make it farther being yourself than you do trying to be somebody else. And one of the major benefits, right, of striking out on your own, one of the major benefits to taking on the risk of bringing in your own business is the fact that you get to do it your way. And that doesn't just mean stylistically. We know Lance liked to dress it the way that he wants to, and he couldn't necessarily do that in a corporate gig. But also your integrity. You don't have to compromise. You don't have to do anything that you don't think is ethical because you're your own boss. You set the standard in every way imaginable. Point number two, what might seem to be a failure, what might seem to be a total loss, what might seem to be the end could actually be a gateway to the best thing you ever experienced in your life. Lance graduated from college, spent money getting a degree, and couldn't find a job. Long story short, that led to the birth of Turnkey. It led to the birth of a company that allows him to live the way he wants to and to support himself, even to employ other people and help them support their families. What if he graduated and got the first gig he applied for? Would he be living the dream right now? Would he be on the No Job podcast? Would he have the opportunity to talk to you and tell you what it takes to get to where you want to be? Don't be afraid of failure. In fact, if you haven't failed yet, chances are you haven't yet met the gateway to the thing you're meant to do. My name is Najee Simmons, and this is the No Job Podcast.